Welcome to our set here right outside Los Angeles Stadium. I'm Alexis Nunes, and what a squad I have. Move over, Mauricio Pochettino, because I think I've got the real squad. 19T World Cup winner and former U.S. men's national team coach himself, Jurgen Klinsmann, and then a trio of former U.S. men's national team players in Herculez Gomez, Jermaine Jones, and Casey Keller. They know exactly what this meant feels like, guys. Are we feeling it? Jurgen, are you feeling the magic in the air that the wait is over?
Absolutely. I feel good, and I hope that the players really kind of settle their nerves and enjoy every second of the game. And I'm convinced they give everything they have. It will be a good game.
Herc, JJ, Casey, do you guys remember what it was like on the eve of your first World Cup game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's the nerves, of course, because if you're not nervous, then you don't have a heartbeat. I mean, you got to know what this means. Fulfill a life's ambition to play in a World Cup. And then it's how quickly you settle down once you get those nerves under control. And like Jurgen said, I really think the guys are ready for this. I know we've had a 4-year preseason and we've all waited for this moment with qualifiers. So fingers crossed they come together.
A bit more comfortable experiencing it as more a fan and than a player out on the pitch?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I go back and I put myself in the shoes, and I think it's that's the stage you want to play. So, and all of that, excited now to be here, and now is this game. I mean, there's a little bit the nervousness, and you're thinking like, okay, what can go wrong? But at the end, is like the best part is that you look at it and say, this is what I dreamed about. And some people maybe have that dream now the second time. And I think it's just ready to go. And you, player, you wait that the ref gives the whistle, and you can go out there and do your thing.
You know, there are a lot of players in this U.S. men's national team that are household names to the fanatic that watches the sport, the U.S. men's national diehard, but within their own country are not household names. And I'm sure there are the guys on the table who could attest. There's a 94 class that became famous in pop culture within the United States because of the World Cup in 1994. The level of attention it could bring to you, notoriety. These players today have an opportunity to do just that, but at a grander scale, and take the sport where it once thought we could go to a whole nother level. So whether nervous or there's jitters or they're just happy to be here, today is a mass opportunity.
Well, the USA's coach Mauricio Pochettino hails from a country, Argentina, that nothing knew about World Cups. He talked about wanting to change the culture here. Let's hear what he had to say ahead of this big open against Paraguay.
The player after is tomorrow need to go on the field and feel in a bubble. That they need to perform, and perform is to respect some rules. Also, the most important is not to be disconnected with your emotional relationship with the game. And we were talking about that, about when that they need to think tomorrow in play like they are a child, no? With not, pressure, with not responsibility. Is to play, doing what they need to do and they know to do.
This is the moment that you've been building towards for a year and a half. And for these players, this is the moment that they've been building for their entire lives. When you speak to them tonight, tomorrow, how do you coach that?
I already spoke. I already talk.
Do you build
too
them
much and too much? Don't expect an unbelievable speech Friday.
Mauricio Pochettino there saying he's already done his talking, Jurgen, something similar that you said yesterday. By now, the players already know what they need to do.
Absolutely. Got to leave them alone on day because of that nervousness, because of, everybody's is full of thoughts and everybody wants to do well and think about 1,000 things, the family's coming and everybody watching it on TV. This huge opportunity. So as a coach, you got to leave them alone. You got to let them kind of be with themselves, get ready. Everyone differently. Some listen to music. Some do certain warm-ups differently to others. Just let them be themselves, and then be.
Herc, is that what you want to hear from me for right before the World Cup? That he's done his talking?
It's 5 World Cups for you? 3 as a player, 2 as a manager? Yeah, I Jurgen knows what he's doing. Listen, because he's right. I mean, at this point, if you think it adds something of value, you've not done your job. You can't micromanage. You have to trust the footballer, trust the player, and let them go out there. And as Kay said, for these players, it's a lifelong ambition to be at the World Cup, a dream to be here. Now let them express themselves, enjoy themselves. I like what Pochettino said. He spoke about the responsibility of the connection, staying true to their game. So if that's true, you've already done your job. So I like the message.
I mean, we always say that the buck stops at manager and the head coach, Casey, but now Pochettino is basically saying, well, he's done his job to this. It's time for the players to go out there and do what they need to do again.
The manager, as much as they would like, they can't jump on the pitch and influence the game. So they have to rely that they prepared the team properly, they the right team for the environment. And when adjustments need to be made, they recognize that and make the proper adjustments. Yes, of course, manager is going to get applause, and they're going to get those as well if it doesn't go their way. But at this stage, you haven't prepared them by now. It's not going to happen on the bus ride here. So, yeah, agreed. Everybody has their own way of preparing for a match. And I think that's the modern way that the coaches have. They say, okay, guys, you should know by the age of your career how to get ready to play in big matches.
Well, the next topic is definitely for Jermaine. He talked about how he wanted to see the UA with a bit more bite, a bit more of that warrior mentality. And could Paraguay be the perfect opponent today to see a bit of that? This is a look at the USA versus Paraguay history. And if we're talking about spicy, well, we don't have to look too far to the last time that these two played in what was supposed to be a friendly, so to speak, but tempers flared. Hands were thrown, things got physical. Jermaine, we do want to see this to a certain extent, but how do you find that right balance? Because we know that Jermaine was a player on the pitch that didn't take any silliness from anyone.
Yeah, but I think it's a whole complete different thing. That's a friendly game, and okay, I completely accept it, and I say, okay, it shows off. But in a World Cup, in a stage like this, you have to be careful.
You don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that because I think we have more quality than Paraguay, with all the respect, Paraguay. And I think that is a way of can be frustrated. You be frustrated and you come in, that situations like that happen. But I think if we today play our football, concentrate on our game, and work as a team, I think we will have here a good game and we win this game. So, of course, it's not like that let's say it this way. And I think Hercules said it. We will not be able to go with them into that fight mode and play that
if
game.
they bring you down to that level, you don't want that.
If they get you to that stage where they want you, then you will have that typical game and that situation can happen. But if you stay clear in your head and you stay clear what Pochettino said to your game and to keep it disciplined, I think you will win this game.
I think Paraguay recognized exactly what Jane said, is that the U.S. is probably a more talented player pool, 11 for 11. But if they can push some buttons and get somebody set off and get somebody to lose discipline at the wrong time and give themselves a man advantage for an amount of time, that's what Paraguay is going to look to do.
Perk, you're obviously looking at trying to find that perfect balance with that grit, with that warrior-like behavior, someone who kind of poses and enforces themselves on the opposite, but also with the emotional intelligence that you were talking about yesterday. Who on this U.S. men's national team roster even, or at least in the predicted 11 from, has that?
There are two. And the first one I know is going to be on the field, and that is Tyler Adams. He's the heartbeat of the team. He's the emotional, the physical leader. He is aggressive, also aspects of the game, especially in how he goes out to the opponent. The other one is Chris Richards. And we don't know the ability of Chris Richards physically today. He says he's good. He also said, hey, they've not said if I'm starting. Chris Richards, player that throughout the process of Mauricio Pochettino has been really the guy to everybody else physically. We cannot bound. When Australia was kicking Christian Pulisic, he was the guy in everybody's face. We need to defend our teammates. They have two emotional leaders with physical attributes on this team. Those are the guys the U.S. needs to look for.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big day for Tyler Adams and Chris Richards in what is expected to be a pretty gritty battle. But let's talk about someone who we can say has been aging maybe like fine wine, because best believe it, at 38 years old, Tim Ream is the captain of this U.S. men's national team, and he will be the oldest to play for the United States at a World Cup. If I look at the USA stats with Tim Ream and without Tim Ream, well, I just want to say that they happen to have lost double the amount of games with him than without. Jürgen, what are your thoughts on this? Are you a bit surprised that they're relying on Tim Ream so heavily at his age?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm a Ream fan.
Hey.
Because I mean, with his experience and with his way guiding the players in front of him, next to him, he's of very, very high value for the team. Now, obviously, you got to cover his bad sides. That's speed. When you play with Tim, then there'll be an extra attention on players at him. The other center back has to be right behind him, or the fullback has to tuck in. It's a different game then. And obviously, the discussion is from a coaching perspective. If you play Tim, is it better you play like 3 which turns into a back five. Obviously, to use all his experience and all his positive attributes and cover up a little the speed issue, or you stick to the back four, you play it your way with the risk that hopefully, there's no Mbappe coming with 200 miles an hour and go to him. So there are the pro and cons, but I admire Tim because he's an absolute top professional. And this tournament has unbelievable players that are a little bit aged. We're talking about Messi, we're talking about Ronaldo, we're talking about Neymar, we're talking about Tim Ream. You have Manuel Neuer. Yeah. We have players between 35 and 40. They are still top notch, and Tim will prove his point.
Casey, do you agree with the big Jurgen?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think and then put those players in position to succeed. If you're asking Tim Ream to play line at midfield and cover a huge amount of space, you're not getting the best out of Tim Ream. But if you set a team up, like Jurgen said, to understand not just frailties, but all the players' frailties. Everybody has their strengths. Everybody has their weaknesses. The key is to set up a team that best emphasizes the strengths and covers for the weaknesses.
Well, JJ, if you look at it as well from both perspectives, we understand that the leadership and experience Tim Ream brings, but of course, in terms of physicality, and as Jörg pointed out, of a Kylian Mbappe running down, or even an Erling Haaland, then could be viewed as a weakness. Well,
yes, of course. But I think as a Pochettino, he was sitting before that and analyzed the other team, right? And I think today they're going in with the mindset that maybe we will have more the ball. In Tim Ream's strengths is playing out from back, in playing risk balls into midfield, maybe because he knows that would be not the case, that he gets pushed into his misses. So in maybe another game, maybe he makes another decision. So, and I think he's the captain of the team, and I think it's a signal too. He has experience. I think he showed that over the games over the years, and I think it's a good call. At the end, we will all know better our game, if it was a good call or not. But I think right now, I agree with that decision to play him because his strength is just with the ball.
Now, here's a few realities. If you play with Tim Ream, you've got to cover those disabilities that he has, deficiencies, which is why this team goes from a back three, line of five, and the build up to four, and that right back will ton to protect Tim Ream. Because with the ball, he can effort much going forward. Another reality. He's the oldest player to ever play in a World Cup with the U.S. men's national team. When you've had a plethora of quality goalkeepers, why is it that